I've been working on this project for about 3 years now, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to help worker cooperatives grow, and a critical component of their growth is the financing, and get a bunch of the worker cooperatives here in the U.S. together and set up a credit union so that they can self-finance. And we think that there's enough scale to do that, and so we've been going around and talking to them and applying for a charter, and we're in that process right now.
So Mike, could you tell us some of the people and organisations that have been supporting you in the work for the Worker Cooperative Credit Union?
Sure. Well, we've been working on this for about 3 years now, and a credit union requires a common bond or a field of membership, which defines who can join the credit union. And so for this credit union we have 3 associations which will become part of the common bond. The first is the U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives. They're this national umbrella group of worker co-ops across the country. The second one is the network of Bay Area Worker Cooperatives. They're a local San Francisco Bay Area network. And the third is the North American Students of Cooperation, which is a group of cooperatives, mostly university student housing cooperatives and some worker cooperatives. These 3 groups will be part of the credit union.
Could you explain a credit union and to people out there, and also how the Worker Cooperative Credit Union would differ from a regular credit union?
So credit unions are consumer cooperatives. That means that they're owned and controlled by their members. In the case of a credit union, the members are the depositors and the borrowers, basically the people that have accounts with the credit union. Credit unions were designed for basically low-income lending, and in fact a lot of them don't do business lending. In the case of the Worker Cooperative Credit Union, we're being chartered explicitly to do business lending to our member worker cooperatives. And these worker cooperatives have faced a number of financing difficulties historically. Typically when they go into a bank for a loan, they're asked, well, who owns it? And they say, we all own it. And who controls it? We all manage ourselves. Usually not the answers a bank is looking for. And so it's a big educational process. We expect to be a friendly financial institution that understands their structure, their financing needs, and to be able to help them out. And we will, after all, be lending them their own money.
The global financial crisis has swept across the world, and the US has been particularly hard hit, and some demographics for the real unemployment levels are approaching something like 40%. How does the worker cooperative movement or institution address these sort of fundamental problems with the economic arrangements that we've got today?
Well, a lot of the problem is that the typical business is a for-profit business, and they place that profit above good for the good of the workers. And in a downturn, in order to maintain that profit, one of the first actions they'll take is to lay off their workforce and reduce wages. And this only accelerates any downturn that might occur. Worker cooperatives, on the other hand, typically have the opposite response, is that they will try to maintain their workforce and wages to the extent possible. And this serves the community a lot better. It maintains wages and consumption, and it provides a lot of stability. Instead of this spiraling collapse, you can have jobs maintained, and even when there's not a crisis, worker cooperatives don't outsource their jobs. They're community-owned, community-controlled, because the workers are a part of that community. So from a stability point, you gain a huge amount through worker cooperatives that you don't get through regular businesses.
Could you give us some examples of successful worker cooperatives? Just focus on the Bay Area, perhaps.
Well, one of the better-known worker cooperatives is the Cheese Board. They have a cheese shop and they make pizzas, which are wildly popular, usually with lines out the door while they're open. And there's a group that's been reproducing the Cheese Board, the Arizmendi Association, and they now have 5 Arizmendi bakery pizzerias open around the Bay. So that's been a very successful model. Another one is Wages, which is a bunch of house cleaning co-ops. They've been expanding also, and there's now several of those too. Rainbow Grocery is a very large store in San Francisco, which has a lot of organic food. And there's a couple bike shops, of course, the Missing Link over in Berkeley, and Box Dog Bikes in San Francisco. And
Mandela
Foods is a new co-op in West Oakland, just across from the BART station. and they're providing fresh goods in an area where there were no supermarkets serving that population. So that was an exciting development which took place this year.
Yeah. If people out there are interested in seeing you talk more about the Worker Cooperative Credit Union, are there events or other venues for this?
We'll be at the National Worker Cooperative Conference later this year in Berkeley, California, and we'll be submitting a proposal to do a workshop at the U.S. Social Forum in Detroit. Also, if people are interested, our webpage is workercoopfcu.org, and you can always find contact information there if you'd like more information.
I'm looking for more information on worker cooperatives in the US. Where do I go for that kind of information?
Probably the best source of information is the website of the U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives. They provide a lot of information, have resource libraries, and links to other educational sites about worker cooperatives. So if you want to learn about them, that's where I'd recommend to go.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.